Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerantz. Our guest is Bernard Parks. He's a member of the Los Angeles City Council, also a candidate for the Board of Supervisors for Los Angeles County. That election is this November. Sir, we thank you for joining us today.
Thank you much.
I want to focus right now on some city issues, and that is a very interesting move in terms of health, and that's banning the construction of new fast food restaurants in South Los Angeles for a year. Yeah. Tell us about that.
Well, basically, it's not a ban. Basically, it's putting it through a conditional use permit.
Okay.
We have, in the area that's been identified, which happens to have the highest high blood pressure rates, obesity, and a variety of health problems, diabetes, and particularly childhood diabetes, that Jan Perry and I looked at this area, called it out of our district. We found that there were 900 restaurants in that area. Over 50% of them were fast food, standalone fast food, not in shopping centers, not in malls, but just standalone. And we found out that with that most of these were by right. There were no limitations. And then you go out and you look around your intersection, you find many of our major intersections had 2 to 3 fast food restaurants. And the definition of fast food in the city has been 20 years old. It basically says preheated food, pre-made food. You can't tailor make the order. It's in throwaway containers, throwaway utensils, generally a drive-through, and with no seating capacity. So those are the kind of the terminology.
Right.
What we want to do, because we believe it opens up our major thoroughfares to other businesses and particularly maybe some sit-down restaurants, is that you put them through a conditional use permit so you can evaluate the concentration of those types of restaurants before you allow another one to be built.
Now, laudable goal, presumably, but these are tough economic times right now, and people use fast food restaurants for a variety of reasons, including costs. And I'm just wondering, is now the time to do it, given the economy and given that, with tough economic conditions, larger restaurants may be fearful of opening in any area, let alone an area that is not particularly affluent.
Well, the thing is, I think what we find also, we hear those statements all the time, but yet we've determined that in the area that's impacted, that well over $400 to $500 million a year leak out into other communities to buy the things that this community needs because it's not present. We also know that in a similar area on the west side that has over 2,000 restaurants, that less than 15% of them are fast food. So we know that what we see in our district is not consistent citywide, and we know that there's sufficient funds in our areas, discretionary money, to be spent because people are spending it elsewhere. We see when the IHOP was built on Slauson, it's standing room only. When we see that the coffee, Magic Johnson's coffee location was put in place, it's one of the top in the area.
The Coliseum Mall, I know, is
Coliseum.
Also, right.
When you see the Denny's on Crenshaw that opens 24 hours, all of a sudden people discover that this community spends its money. Unfortunately, on a routine basis, it spends it in Culver City, Inglewood, and surrounding areas because retailers won't bring these products to the city.
I want to take it to the next level. One of your potential new colleagues, Mr. Yaroslavsky, also on the Board of Supervisors, has proposed that for restaurants that are also chain restaurants, that calorie counts be provided to customers. What do you think of that?
Well, the thing is, I think the bill, if I understand the bill he's supporting, I think that's too specific, and I think it is a major impact on the business. What I would like to see is another bill that's in Sacramento that basically gives you a generic health information such as we don't use trans fats or these are the ingredients in general. I think it's in my judgment, unnecessary intrusion to cause a restaurant business to have to identify every item within every item on the menu.
I understand.
And we also know that there's some issues of seasonal differences. My understanding in talking to some of the restaurant owners, depending on what season you have, you may have different calories in such things as avocado. And so you're putting them in a position that they may have to change their menu, and particularly if there's an enforcement angle, they may have to change their menu routinely, which is a major cost. But I do believe it's helpful to have these generic information about health so people can make those judgments.
Bernard Parks, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
For Local Edition, I'm Brad Pomerantz.